Hi, my name is Stephen McGee and I'm the author of Toxic Electricity. And we're here today to do an interim follow-up on my smoke detector experiment that I started a few months ago back in March. It's now August and these plants have been growing around smoke detectors. And these are ionizing smoke detectors that you find in all homes that are built today. And this particular plant right here, this actually grew surrounded by 6 smoke detectors, because that's what I found in my home. I went around my home and I found that my home had been constructed with 6 smoke detectors. So this is what this one is looking like. And you'll notice that it's actually quite different. If you review the original video that I did of this experiment, you'll find that there's far more growth all around the base of these plants, and it was a very dense growth, so you can see that it's actually thinned out a lot now. So this is the single smoke detector plant, and you're seeing a similar process taking place. You can actually see that the plant is actually thinned out down below, and it still has quite a lot of its original leaf growth, as does this one. So over here we have the control, and the big difference that you'll notice about the control is that it only really appears to have one of its original leaves left. It's being replaced by new growth down below, and it's doing the typical deforming growth that I see at my home. My home is actually near cell phone towers, so the radiation environment is off at my home. It's actually biologically unnatural, and that is evidenced by the growth patterning and leaf size being off in all of my control plants that I grow. But you can see that it's got new growth on it, and it's getting the shiny growth, which is quite typical of radio frequency exposure, which is quite high at my home due to being near to 3 cell phone towers, which are about 600 to 700 meters away. So the big difference I've noticed is the amount of leaves that these smoke detector plants have actually retained. And this is the single one, and you can see it's actually retained far more of its original leaves, and it has much lesser new leaf growth on it. You see the same effect in this one. This one is the one that was growing around 6 smoke detectors, and we can see that we have quite a few of the original leaves still attached to it. But the thing that you'll notice is that the leaves that are coming up are actually losing the patterning, and they're actually somewhat deformed. They're not very even. They're not very symmetrical. And they tend to be much more pointed. It's one of the things that I'm noticing with them. And the patterning is disappearing, but it's not this kind of growth that I'm seeing in the controls. And it's a very different type of growth as to what I see occurring in the control plants. So the growth patterns are actually quite different in these 2 smoke detector plants. And I'm going to tell you what I think is going on. And the reason why they're retaining so much of their original growth is because the growth rate has been retarded. So the radiation appears to be slowing down the growth process in these plants, and that's why we still have so much of this original leaf growth present. And what is coming up is actually very different, as we can see right here. And this new leaf growth is very, very different to the plants that I grow away from these smoke detectors. It's very unique to these plants. So my conclusion is that smoke detectors actually retard plant growth. And I've also seen this retardation effect occur in other plants that have been in radio frequencies and microwave frequencies. And if you hit these plants with the right set of energies, it actually really slows down the growth to the point where they will actually just go dormant. They'll just stop growing. And they just go into this holding pattern where not a lot happens, and that's what's happened in these two radiation exposed Dieffenbachias. And that process did not occur in this plant, as we only have one of the original leaves left. Everything else coming up appears to be new growth. So that's my conclusion so far with this experiment. So what I'm going to do is, because the growth rates have been retarded so much in these smoke detector plants, I'm obviously going to have to leave the experiment running longer. So this is an interim video, and when I get the final results, which will probably be about 6 months from now, I will actually do another video. I hope you enjoyed this presentation, and I wish you the very best of health. Thank you.